In today's video, we are going to be breaking down one of the greatest guards to ever play in the NBA, Allen Iverson, and how he is able to shoot the basketball at such a high level. Let's get down and let's check out Allen Iverson's basketball shooting form. So really quickly, I just really want to let you know that Allen Iverson creates a lot of his shots off of the crossover, and we can see that in this clip. He's able to do a quick killer crossover step back into his shot and into his shooting form. So if you're looking to create a shot, this may be a great move for you to do, but let's really break down his shooting form right now. Let's check out what his base looks like, and his base is facing away from the rim. His feet are not pointing towards the rim. Now, you're going to get a lot of coaches and trainers saying, hey, your feet always need to be squared towards the basket, your shoulders need to be square towards the basket, and of course this is true, but again, we really want to emphasize the fact that you really need all your body parts to work together in your shot. So his feet, of course, are facing away from the rim. Here, they're tilted away from the rim. Same as his knees even. His knees also point away from the rim, as well as his hips and his shoulders. Now, there's a really good reason for this, and I'm going to get to that in a second. However, what else do we see? We notice that he is up on his toes. This is extremely important because that's going to activate your calves, and your calves are basically the torque essentially behind your jump, the torque in a car, the initial oomph to get going. And then your quads. See how his knees are bent? His quads are going to be the next muscle that are going to be the ones that are being worked. So calves are the initial jump off the ground, and then his quads are going to be the next up into his shot, if I can put it that way. So as of right now, I would say if I was a coach or a trainer really looking at his base, that he's going to be missing off towards the left of his shot, our right, his left. But there's something that a lot of players do not really take into effect. First off, he does have a one motion shot, but we really need, if we want aim, we want to have our shoulder in line with our elbow to the rim. We also want to have that ball over top of our elbow going towards that rim as well. I personally call this the triangle. And why do I call it the triangle? Well, there's a good reason. Because if your shoulder is not in line with your elbow, that is what's going to tell the ball to go left or right. At the same time, if the ball is not over top of the elbow, again, it's going to start turning in the air left or right. So you really want to get this in line and have your body as the slave to be able to tell the ball where to go. So what I like to focus on with players is to really focus on how you can get that triangle, and then how we can form your body to be able to make that triangle. From there, Allen Iverson's set point is roughly just to the right of his right eye, and of course in front of his forehead. He does have his hand on the side of the ball, and from the next clip I'm going to show you, we will see that he does have a gap between his palm and the ball. Now, you will want to have a gap between your palm and the ball because, of course, that allows you to stabilize that ball and have better grip on it. If your ball sits on your palm, you're generally going to have more backspin and rotation on that ball, but it's not going to have the kind of control that you're going to need, especially if you have a defender who is jumping out who may just hit that elbow, and if that is the case, you will lose that ball. Now, from this close-up of the same shot, we're going to notice that his feet are slightly basically around shoulder width apart. That's going to give you the power. We also see that his right foot is in front of his left, again to give you power and also to get you in line with the net. Now, from there, we also do see that his shoulders are over top of his knees that are basically over top of his toes, and he gathers that ball between his knees and his hips, roughly in the thigh region, and when he does lift that ball up to his set point, he actually doesn't bend his elbow, and even then it's a slight bend right there. You don't want to have that much movement into your shot until you get up into your shot, obviously, because the more movement you have, the more things you need to correct if you have a cold streak that is going. And as we can see that there is a gap between the palm and the ball. Now, from there, what do we also see? We see that his elbow is slightly up, and that would be roughly 90. It's just past 90. It's not a 45-degree angle. So basically what this means is if you've got a 90-degree angle on your elbow, you're going to have a faster release. If you've got a 45-degree angle, which a lot of players do shoot with, of course their arms are a little bit more level than Iverson's, what you're going to get there is the more power but less speed. So that is the trade-off that you have to have. Now he has close to 90 degrees, but his elbow is a bit higher, so he's going to still get a little bit more power. That's raising his shot point as well, so that it's harder for the defender to block, and what you are getting is a fast release because it's pretty darn close to 90 degrees. Now when he does go up for his shot, we do see that his thumb does slightly push at the end, right there, just slightly. What does this mean? He may be using that slightly for power, but at the same time, for how much of a high percentage that he shoots, I really don't think that takes a lot away from his shot. Other than the lack of rotation slightly, we can see that he gets, we're going to watch that line right there, he gets roughly, that would be now one rotation right about there, and then he gets around to be about 2 rotations, so that thumb flick may be taking a little bit of rotation off the ball, but especially with it being a step back, he is getting a little bit more power from his thumb. Now, one of the things that a lot of thumb shooters do have happen to their shot is it does take away the backwards rotation and sometimes the arc away from the shot. That's why a lot of coaches will say stop shooting with your thumb. At the same time, there are a lot of players like Kyrie Irving and Steph Curry who do shoot with a thumb. And I'm going to tell you right now, Iverson does not always shoot with a thumb flick. There's other clips that you can see that he very rarely does shoot with a thumb flick. He tends to shoot with a thumb flick when he does do a step back, so that's probably just for power. At the same time, he was a very high percentage three-point shooter. In fact, he was a 32% roughly career three-point shooter, which is just at the amount of what you need to be a more better choice than going in for a layup in some cases. There's some math on that when it comes to true shooting percentage and things like that. That says if you're above 32% from 3, then you are better than going in for a layup. So there is that. Now, from there, I also like to check out his release. And what we see here is it's a hard release, very similar to somebody like Michael Jordan. Now, this, I would say, is a mix between a soft and a hard release. So a hard release, you would have your wrist flick down. In a soft release, you would have your hand curl. This one is a release where it just goes straight like this and does not turn down, it does not curve. So that could also be the reason for the lack of rotation on the ball. Generally, you want to have 2.5 rotations on the ball to get to the rim, and if you really want to have a soft landing on that rim, you would be aiming to have 3 rotations or more on that ball. Now, if you find that you're not getting enough power into your shot, don't go and use your arms more. Use your legs more into your shot if you find that you cannot get that shot to the rim. If you want more power in your legs, make sure to go check out my vertical jump training book down in the description below. Anyways, I hope that you've enjoyed today's video. I hope that it's helped you shoot the basketball better. If it has, hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys again next time.